Hi and welcome to the Conscious Earth. I'm Sabine. Today's video I will will have the headline Lost Everyday Skills. I've been sitting and pondering the other day what happened to all these skills, the valuable and practical skills we used to have decades ago, obviously. What happened? Why was it forgotten? And I was pondering about it and I thought, well, is this because of all the new and easier technology we received? Making life generally speaking easier and faster in a way as well. But is that totally a positive thing either? Because lots of valuable skills have been lost. I don't know if you ever have looked at buildings who are a few hundred years old, for example, stone masonry. I'm sure it still exists in a way or form, but I don't think it will be to that extent of the art of it, how beautiful and how the mastery in it. For example, in stonemasonry, when you see whether it's a church, a castle, and you see these beautiful modulated stones, they've been done literally with a chisel and a hammer. But also then they carved out texts, for example, lots of texts, thousands of years old, some of them. All that has been done with hammer and chisel, so to speak, sort of. And that is one of the skills which is very much forgotten, sadly. Then you got blacksmithery. I can't remember hearing anything besides from to do with with riding and driving, this kind of thing, when it comes to in equine with the horses, that they need still a blacksmith. But what happened to the blacksmiths who actually created wonderful, beautiful gates? All the craftsmanship in itself. These are just two examples, which is pretty much gone down the toilet. And I don't know if these skills can be revived, because if there is not anymore somebody who has the skills and had them for decades, who can pass it on, who could teach that again. So I think this is one of the two more difficult ones to regain. But if you look closer to home, for example, I can remember that almost everyone in our neighborhood when I was a child had grown their own veg and fruit, for example. They knew all about it. They didn't have to go to the library or to Google or anything like that to find out what pest that is on the plant, or what they could do about it, what to do about slugs and all these kind of things. All that knowledge was there, and most of it is lost. Or you have to on the hard way, by error and trial, shall we say, find these skills again, unless you want to work with pesticides, which I don't, and I got a small garden, and it's a lot of experimental in there, but you're learning over time. But again, it's another reason what makes me wonder, why these skills have been lost like that. Because surely there must be still people living in smaller villages who still have gardens, So there must be something going on, or an allotment, for example. Yeah, so and with gardening then comes food preservation, whether it's canning, pickling, freezing, drying, lots and lots of different ways how to preserve food. I started that myself recently, and making my own bread, for example, making my own yogurt and things like that. And actually, I learned these skills new because I didn't have them. I never learned them, and it's fun, and it tastes really so much better because you know what's in it. Shall we say it that way? Like most others of my age group, in school I learned how to sew and knit and this kind of stuff. I never was really interested, to be honest. But also there is not that much anymore, even it's on the rise again. And we are lucky where I live that we do actually have a fantastic shop the lady has still a lot of experience and gives classes in this kind of stuff. So that is resurfacing again, which is brilliant. I just think that a lot of these old is, let's say, traditional skills, that they're getting lost, and I think it's part and parcel for humans and adults to make sure that these things don't get lost, because not everything that is new is naturally better. How does that saying go? Out with the old, in with the new. That's not always completely true. Sometimes the older stuff, or things that have been used for decades, have proven actually being better in the long run than newer stuff. And if you then look at I guess everyone had a washing machine breaking down, or a fridge or a freezer or a cooker or anything like that of electrical equipment. The last 20-30 years, out with the old, in with the new, and it costs money. It produces waste. I can very well remember that we had a washing machine. It was ancient. It just got fixed and fixed and fixed and repaired and fixed again. Today, they don't even give you that option anymore because it's too expensive. It starts with the call out, which is about 80 plus pounds, or depending where you live. Then the parts, they're often difficult to source. Then the labor involved in it. So it's cheaper most of the time to get the new piece. And to be fair, thinking of that, I think it's stupid in a way, isn't it? And I don't mean to be judgmental or anything, but valuable resources coming towards these electric equipment, they're just not made for the endurance anymore, not for the long run. A phone is not expected to last longer than a year or two, or even if you're every 6 months even changing your phone. Wow, that's something I don't understand. Yes, of course, I understand the younger ones, they want all these new gadgets and everything. That's a whole other kettle of fish, because that's dangerous in itself. Because we're losing social skills through that and communication. I got a smartphone, like a lot of people have. I got a laptop, I got a tablet. But the difference for me is as long as they work and as long as they get updates, they are good enough. I do not need new one. And if it does come to it that they don't get updates anymore, I either find a charity where they rework them again and give them away to help, or some of the providers like Vodafone, I know for sure they do as well, they take phones back in. and they refurbish them and then hand them over to charities, wherever that is, that they help them use them, those equipment. So there are ways to think about these kind of things, to make sure. But as I say, I'm talking about my own opinion. So again, then we had, don't know when that exactly was we had that movement called Do It Yourself. That seemed to be disappeared as well. So what happened to the fun in building something yourself, for example? And I'm not meaning buying some sort of cupboard and putting it together yourself, but what happened to the things, smaller things, you could, for example, do yourself? I mean, if somebody has a garden and likes barbecue, it doesn't take much to put your own barbecue together, for example. So I think, especially now, where there is a possibility that there may be shortages in certain things, it would be good to be self-reliant again, to be capable of having some skills that others maybe don't have. And as it looks at the moment that we may be coming towards more community-like times again, and which means then money possibly not having much worth, and then we would need to swap things. So if anyone has a valuable skill or has an abundance in some vegetables they grow, for example, that could be something you could trade for something you need. But it doesn't have to be something physical. It could be to do with teaching. There's so many different ways to do things. But I thought I'd bring this up and see what the people think about this. And there is, I need to look further into it. I certainly discovered for myself doing a few things myself. I even started raising my own seedlings now for the garden, and it's actually fun. It really is fun, and it's beautiful to see things grow and then harvest in the end, in the long run. But have a think about that and see what you think about this topic, and let me know, please. I'll see you soon. Bye.